So this is my presentation about my contribution to a live music event. So first of all, my job role was finance manager. So my job as a financing manager was to keep track of money invested into the event, as well as seeking ways to raise funds for the event so that we could fund it and raise more money for the charity. As such, it was my responsibility to organise some form of fundraiser, as well as keeping receipts in the event people wished to be reimbursed for any money they paid out of their own pocket. But yeah, so my first step in this process was to try and organise a fundraiser, and I had to gain permission from Matt Ridgell to do so. I also needed some assistance with the logistics of running the event, which I had to get from obviously the music teacher. So I did this by creating a list of things we could have done, so options for fundraisers, and showed them to the group. And I did pros and cons of each of these ideas and like roughly what we would need. And I gave this list to both the head of year, the head of the college, and to the music teacher. And it was so that if we needed any assistance from members of staff, or if we needed permission, then we could ask and they'd know exactly what it was for. And I did this because as a finance manager, part of my role was also to fundraise, and I thought that fundraising wouldn't just help with raising money for the charity, but it also might give us some rough budget for peripherals for the event, such as decorations and other stuff. So as you can see here, in the top, we have some sort of text conversations between me and Matt Ridgell, where I'm asking for potentially a meeting or just something where we can discuss. This middle one is to the music teacher to ask for help running it and ask what needs to happen for us to put on some atrium gig. And then here is where I sent the sort of list of ideas to Matt Ridgell for him to look over. So yeah. Right. So my next step is, because I'd sent a list of rough ideas and I'd asked the group had agreed that if we were going to do a fundraiser, it would be a good idea to do a miniature atrium gig. On the left here we have just a screenshot of the ideas. On the left here we have a screenshot of some of the rough ideas of what we could have done. So as you can see, there's a jukebox fundraiser where we would, like, as an example, we'd play music and people can play it, pay £1 to play whatever song they want. And then, yeah, so that was just an example. But yeah, so I created a plan which we could use for holding a miniature gig in the atrium to raise awareness for the event, but also to potentially raise money. I did this by investigating what we would have access to for our use and asking what the simplest setup we could use is, and I did it because I wanted to be prepared for the event that we'd got permission to hold an atrium gig, because I thought it was better to be prepared beforehand so that things could run smoothly and we could set things up effectively, which obviously the more effectively and professionally we can do things like that, the more likely we are to earn money, and then that helps the gig. But yeah, so you can see the plan there. Well, the sort of stuff we need. So that was an equipment list of what we would need for the atrium gig. This is like a sort of a thing to note that we had a time limit on when we could do it. Then sort of a rough idea of what the best format for it would be. And then that was a sort of very rough setup guide. Obviously it's not like a step-by-step, but like a rough idea. Then I had a response from Matt Ridgell, where he'd invited us to do the gig on Friday, I did reach out to the group, but no one else would have been able to prepare for the mini gig by that Friday, because at this point it was Wednesday and no one had anything they'd practiced enough to play at a mini atrium gig. So then I had to ask if there were any more opportunities for us to do a gig. Despite us having an opportunity to do one the following Tuesday, we had all decided against it because it was getting much closer to the gig and we wanted to focus on the songs we were playing at the gig, because that was the more important repertoire for us to learn. And here you can see screenshots of me, again, just asking to confirm with Matt Ridgell. Even though this never came to fruition and we never got to do a gig at lunchtime, it was still important for me to explore that option as the man that was in charge of fundraising. And I think it's better that I asked and investigated that possibility, because if I hadn't, then you never know, we could have done it. And it's not like we didn't have the opportunity, it just never came to fruition. But it was a significant contribution for me to get to that point of like having it organised. Then the same week, I had managed to get someone I know from Broomfield College campus to ask permission and put up posters around the campus to attract more attention to the event. This was good for the event because it helped the physical promotion team, which, even though it wasn't in my area, it still helped others. But yeah, it also brought people from Broomfield to the event, so it was effective in that sense, and it contributed to the turnout being as successful as it was. So I did help with that aspect of it. And yeah, I mean, I had the contact that not many other people had, so I just exploited that a little, and yeah. Oh, and these are examples of where the posters were put up as well. As you can see, the lovely poster designed by Michael. Okay, then the following week, I then had an idea for another fundraiser, but this one would take place at the gig, so it would be to earn money for the charity, and that was planning a raffle. However, I didn't know what we could raffle. However, I was unsure what we could raffle. At first, I was going to raffle things that I had, personal belongings that I didn't really use anymore. However, I decided that to keep along with the music theme and capitalising off of the fact there were going to be musicians there, I reached out to guitar shops and asked for a donation guitar, which eventually got a response from Hippo Guitars offering to donate a cheap used guitar that was in decent condition. As you can see up here, there's the response from Hippo Guitars saying, "Hi, we'd be happy to donate something," and then more there. Then they asked for a confirmation email from Matt Shirtliff, because they wanted to confirm that it was a charity gig and it was being sort of ran by college students, because they wanted to make sure that they weren't just giving somebody a free guitar that wasn't going to get raffled off. But this was a very significant contribution to the event. As of me recording this, the event has already passed, and I know for a fact that we raised around £100 off of raffle tickets alone, so it was a very good idea to do, and I think it really contributed to the success of the event. And if I hadn't have done it, then I don't think anyone else would have had the idea, and yeah, we pulled it off and it worked out. And then just the next slide over is just more evidence of that. We have the guitar itself there. That is the guitar that we raffled off, and then that is just a collection bucket that we used to collect all of the ticket sale money, all of the raffle ticket sale money, and any other that people just wanted to donate. And that is the end. That is my contribution to this music event, live music event. Hooray.